Hello, and welcome to the Yoga Studies Institute. My name is Bob Serino, and I'm so grateful that you chose to practice with us today. Here at YSI, we do yoga different. A lot of people just think about yoga as the outer practice of how we put our body in space. But at the Yoga Studies Institute, we focus on combining the inner world with the outer world, which is what yoga was originally intended to be. It's yoga that changes your world, not just your body. We source our information from the most classic and authentic texts in yoga, and we offer that to you through daily meditations, through daily asana practices, and through a rich assortment of courses on our platform. So if you want to dig in and truly experience yoga and feel happier and healthier and full of purpose, then you've come to the right place. Develop a daily practice with us and see the change for yourself.
Hello, welcome to YSI, Yoga Studies Institute. My name is Alfonso, and today we're having a moving in alignment yoga asana class. And it's a 1-hour class. It's perfectly suited for beginner students that want to learn the foundations of an alignment-based yoga asana practice. But it's also perfectly suited for intermediate students that want to deepen their understanding of the foundations of an alignment-based yoga asana practice. Okay, great. Today's class, we're going to be focusing on the 3 channels, the 3 main channels in our inner body, where our inner winds flow, and how this determine a lot of the emotions we're feeling and how we relate to the experience. In Master Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, in the 3rd chapter, in the 26th verse, but also in the 27th and in the 28th verse, he talks about it. He talks about this. In the 27th verse, he says, Chandre tare tara juhatyanam Chandre tara juhatyanam. So basically, he's referring to how if we understand these channels, we are able to understand everything that is. He makes, in that particular verse, he makes reference to the moon, and we like to interpret that as the moon channel, the Ida channel. And in the prior verse, he's talking about Surya, which is the sun channel. So he's telling us how if we understand the inner channels and the workings of the inner channels, we can understand everything that is. And that is because our entire life, we're always moving away from the things we think are painful and moving towards the things we think are pleasurable. We're always disliking and liking things. And there's nothing wrong with liking and disliking things. It's normal. But we're disliking things ignorantly and we're liking things ignorantly. And this is the way we relate to our lives. In an ignorant way, disliking and creating negative emotions towards certain situations, experiences in our life, and in an ignorant way, liking certain parts of the experience, certain situations and people, and liking them in an ignorant way. So in an ignorant way, we're basically saying that when we think that what we're perceiving in that particular moment, the sensations we're feeling, the experience that's happening for us, has nothing to do with what we've done in the past. Okay? In that way, we're ignorantly relating to things with dislike, with aversion, and creating all these negative emotions that come with it. And all our lives, we live in this way. And then if we can understand how these things are really manifesting inside of us and where they're really coming from, then we can understand everything that is. And that's very powerful. So in today's practice, Be very attentive to any parts of the experience, any sensations, any part of your practice in which you're relating to with negative emotions coming from an ignorant disliking. And be very attentive to any ignorant disliking in your practice today. And then at the same time, be very attentive to any ignorant liking, anything that you might be liking and craving more of while we're practicing, any sensations, any parts of the experience that seem to be pleasurable in a way and that you're ignorantly liking them. So see if you can come to a place of equanimity where you can actually understand where these things are really coming from, and then maybe move the inner winds to the center channel. So you might be feeling some thoughts, emotions, and feelings of kindness, compassion, goodness to everything that's manifesting, elevating the frequency of your thoughts and emotions as it comes into the center channel. Okay, great. So be very attentive with that. And I like to work with blocks. I really feel they help us with the support in the alignment. So to start our class, we're going to find an easy sitting pose. If you're using the blocks, you're welcome to sit on a surface, or you can sit on a blanket or on a cushion. This creates a favorable circumstances for our pelvis to move slightly forward, and then the lumbar spine can lengthen. And in my case right now, it's helping me for support with my knee. So I have an issue with the knee, and it would be very easy to dislike ignorantly what's going on in and around my knee and the sensations and everything that's preventing me from using my knee as I would like to use my knee. But then I'm using this to understand when I'm seeing this with ignorant disliking, and then understanding it to be able to lift the veil of ignorance in relation to that, and then raise my frequency of thoughts to have kindness and compassion for my body, for my knee, for my circumstances, and then use it as an opportunity for my practice today. So I encourage you to do the same in your practice. Maybe for you it's not the knee, maybe it's nothing right now, maybe it's the ignorant liking. But for most of us, at some part of the practice, some ignorant disliking is going to take place. And be attentive to this. Be attentive so you can be observing your practice, observing any ignorant disliking and liking, and then coming to this place of equanimity where you can maybe elevate the frequency of your thoughts and emotions to bring them into the center channel. Okay, so as I was saying, find an easy sitting pose in which you can sit tall and you feel comfortable. And then we're going to create the space for our practice. So sit tall, lengthen your spine, allow your eyes to close. We're going to start to experience our breath. So see if you can feel the experience of the breath, maybe the air touching your nostrils every time you exhale and every time you inhale. Notice if your awareness can settle with the breath. Notice if the body can continue to settle. So using the breath to join the mind and the body so they can settle together in this space, this ideal space for practice to take place. If the mind wanders, just recognize that movement and with softness, bring it back to the breath. And as we settle with the experience of the breath, both our body and our mind joining, see if we can have access to the now, to our present, the present moment, which is a gift. The present of the present moment. Allowing what is to be. And as we settle in the perfect space for our practice, let's open this space for our practice with the sound Om one time. Invite your hands to come together to the center of the chest. Inviting the lungs to be filled up with air with the in-breath. Again, you release your hands. You can let your eyes open and you can allow yourself to smile. Remember, smiling gives a great start for our practice and releases any tension in and around the face, the jaw, and gives us a great space to start our practice. Okay. So, if you're using your blocks, please place the blocks to the sides. I'll be also like maybe using a folded blanket, especially for Shavasana, if the back of the neck, to keep the back of the neck long. So let's place the blocks to the side of the front of the mat, one block on each side. And let's come to all fours. So let's bring our hands under the shoulders and then the knees under the pelvis, under the hips. And we're going to walk our hand one half a hand forward. So the back of the hand is aligned with the knuckles of the opposite hand, more or less. And then we do the same thing with the other side. So our hands are slightly in front of our shoulders as we keep the knees over our hips, rooting the mount of the index and thumb. And we're going to tuck the toes under. Take a deep inhale. With the exhale, we're going to bring the pelvis slightly back. Inhale. And then exhaling, pushing the tops of the thighs back and up. Hip crease up, heels down. Notice the strong actions of the thighs. Top of the thigh pushing back. Lengthening the sides of the torso. So many of us like to wiggle and move and do all kinds of movements in the pose. If you feel like you need to move in any way, please move in any way that makes sense to you. But then after you make all these movements, see if you can find some stillness. And then engage the thighs, pushing the top of the thigh back and up. And now inhale, coming into the tips of the toes, refining a bit, feeling the hip creases coming up towards the ceiling, pelvis lifting. And then keeping the pelvis as high up as you can. Exhaling, lengthening the heels to the floor. Towards the floor, heels lengthen, pelvis up, ears aligned with the arms. Inhale, tips of the toes. Unrolling vertebra by vertebra, coming into the plank pose. And then inhaling, lowering the pelvis, opening the chest, burning the collarbones. Active legs, heels lengthening back. And then exhaling, pushing the tops of the thighs back and up, hip crease up, heels down. Strong actions of the thighs. And then again, inhale, tips of the toes. Exhaling, unrolling into the plank pose. And then inhale, lower the pelvis, open the chest, burning the collarbones, active legs. And then again, exhaling, pushing the tops of the thighs back and up, hip crease up, heels down. Last time, inhale, tips of the toes. Exhaling, unrolling vertebra by vertebra. And inhale, lower the pelvis. You can choose whatever variation is best for you with the feet, but keep the actions of the heels lengthening back, thighs lifting. And then inhale, push the tops of the thighs back and up. Crease up, heels down. Inhale, bend your legs, looking between your hands. Walk a step to come between your hands into long back parallel to the floor. So the spine lengthens, back of the neck lengthens, torso soft, arches of the feet separating from the floor. Keep the length of the spine, and then with the exhale, bringing the belly slightly towards the thighs. Into a forward bend. Release the head. Toes soften. Arches of the feet lift. Breathe into the backs of your legs. Release the back of the neck. Uttanasana. And now we're going to interlace the fingers over the back, projecting the arms forward and up. Feeling the entire back of the body lengthen. Soften the skin of the backs of the legs. Lower back, middle back, region in between the shoulder blades, back of the neck. You can change the crossing of the fingers. Index and pinky change places, projecting the arms. And then keeping the shoulders away from the ears, releasing the arms. Inhale, long back, parallel to the floor. Exhale, belly to the thighs. And then with the inhale, lengthening the back of the pelvis to the floor, arms to the sides, and up. As you continue to lengthen, I'm going to turn myself so you can see slightly better. So settle the shoulders and continue to lengthen the arms as the shoulders settle. And then from here, we're going to interlace the fingers. Inhale. Exhale, project the palms of the hands up. Inhale, engage the thighs. And then with the exhale, moving towards the right, try to keep your armpits aligned, pelvis aligned as you lengthen. And continue to breathe. And then inhaling, coming to the center. Crossing the fingers, lengthening the palms of the hands parallel to each other. We're going to cross the fingers again, changing the crossing. Exhale, projecting the palms of the hands up, engaging the thighs. And then with the exhale, moving towards the other side, towards the left. Both feet equally pressing the floor. Inhale, coming back to center, palms of the hands parallel. Engage the thighs. And then exhale, up and over the firm thighs. Forward bend, Uttanasana. Keeping the toes soft, arches of the feet lifting. Inhale, long back, parallel to the floor. Lengthen. Exhale, belly to the thighs. And then inhale, lengthen the back of the pelvis to the floor. Arms to the sides, open chest. Arms up, lengthening. And then exhaling, hands together in the center of the chest. Releasing the arms to the sides. Today we're going to be working with the rotation of the inner thighs. So we really want to anchor Tadasana and feel how the sharpening of the heels, the movement of the heels away from each other are going to create this rotation in the thighs as we hold an object in between our thighs. We're going to be using the block, but you can be holding something else. You can be holding a big book if you had at home or something that can really anchor that sensation in the thighs. So we can get the block, place the block in between the thighs, and we're going to Find your Tadasana and strongly hold the block with your thighs. And you're lengthening from the back of the pelvis. Toes are soft, arches of the feet are lifting. So let's hold the block strongly in between our thighs. So if you don't have a block, maybe somewhere in your house you have a thick book or something that can resemble a yoga block. For this exercise, I really want us to really feel this movement. So maybe you have something around your house that you might use to get some contact with the inner thighs. If that's the case, pause the video again and then go look for anything you might need to put in the block. I'll be waiting for you here. I promise I won't go anywhere. And great. Okay. So hold the block strongly and then toes are soft. As you lift the arches of the feet away from the floor, you should feel the inner thighs slightly lifting. Okay. Inner thighs slightly lift. Great. And now, as you keep that action, feel if the heels can move away from each other without moving. So imagine the heels could move away from each other without them moving. So this is a sensation that's actually bringing the thighs in internal rotation. See if you can feel that the block is being pushed back by the rotation of the thighs. So again, the heels, without moving, they want to move away from each other. It's just a bracing movement. And this will bring the thighs in internal rotation, and you should feel the block pushing back. Great. This is especially important when we're bending forward and we're extending back. This movement of the inner thighs rotating is liberating the space in the back of the pelvis in the sacroiliac joint. And this is one of the places that are compromised the most in our yoga asana practice. Actually, a lot of the injuries in yoga come in the sacroiliac joint. So see to what extent we can create opening in the sacroiliac joint in the back of the pelvis and engage your thighs in this way. Great. Excellent. Let's try this as we come into Uttanasana and back up. In Tadasana, settle the shoulders, chin parallel to the floor, slightly moving back. Inhale. In the softness of the exhale, lengthening the arms up. Inhale, engage the thighs. Sharpen the heels. Feel the action of the block, the inner thighs rotating back. Again, inhale, engage the thighs. Keep the sharpening of the heels. Exhale up and over. The firm thighs, the sharpening heels, forward bend, Uttanasana. Inhale, long back, parallel to the floor. Exhale, belly to the thighs. And then inhale again, lengthening the back of the pelvis, sharpening the heels, coming up, all the way up. And then exhaling, hands together in the center of the chest. Releasing the arms to the sides. Tadasana, mountain pose. Great. So for the rest of the practice, see if you can keep the imaginary block, imaginary book, imaginary object in between your thighs. And let's come to the front of the mat if you're not yet in the front of the mat. Great. Imaginary block in between the thighs. Sharpen the heels. Find your Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale. Exhale, hands together in the center of the chest. Take an instant to bring your awareness where you want your awareness to be. Perhaps noticing any ignorant disliking, any ignorant liking. Perhaps you're already ignorantly disliking the thing of the block between the thighs and all of this. Maybe you're ignorantly liking it. So just be attentive and see if you can find that equanimity and raise the frequency of your thoughts, emotions by understanding. Inhale. In the softness of the exhale, lengthening the arms up. Inhale, engage the thighs. Exhale, up and over the firm thighs. Sharpening the heels, forward bend, Uttanasana. Inhale, long back, parallel to the floor. Exhale, belly to the thighs, hands on the mat. Right and left foot back, Tadasana plank pose. Inhale, lower the pelvis, open the chest, broaden the collarbones. Inner thighs working, and then exhale, push the tops of the thighs back and up. Hip crease up, heels down. So see if you can feel the inner thighs rotating back, the imaginary block in between the thighs. But you know what? Let's anchor this movement before we go on. So bring your knees down, and again, grab your block in between your thighs, with your object of your book. Hold it strongly. Inhale. And then exhale, push the tops of the thighs back and up. So again here, refine. Hold the block strongly with your thighs, and then see if you can sharpen your heels. Heels want to move away from each other without moving. You should feel the block being pushed back and up with your thighs. Okay, see if you can keep that action. Inhale, plank pose. Keep the action of the block, inner thighs, and then inhale, lower the pelvis, open the chest, broaden the collarbones to whatever variation is best, but keep the inner thighs lifting. Great. And then exhale, push the tops of the thighs back and up. Hip crease up, heels down. Keep the action. So make sure the action is not overdone. We usually do this when we're starting something new. So see if you can do it at 40% of what you think you should be doing. You should be able to continue to soften. Great. Let's bring the knees down. Keep the imaginary block in between the thighs. And again, exhale, push the tops of the thighs back and up. Crease up, heels down. Imaginary block in between the thighs. Keeping the left thigh fully engaged. Exhale, right leg towards the back wall. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, right foot in between the hands. So coming into the tips of your fingers or finding your blocks. And then making sure that you're in your foundational pose, the right knee over the right ankle, back leg lengthening, lifting. But you want to sharpen the heels still. You want to feel the inner thigh moving up, back and up. You want to feel the front heel sharpening. You want to feel like you're holding an imaginary block in between your thighs. That will bring your legs to be very stable. And with the stable legs, you can move up. Inhale, release the arms, settle the shoulders. And then in the softness of the exhale, lengthening the arms up. Face off, chest soft. Inner smile. And then inhale, bring in the hand, right hand on top of the right thigh. And exhale and bring in the left arm towards the right, lengthening elliptical psoas on the left side, left hip crease lengthening. Inhale back to center. Soften the eyes, inner smile. And then with the next inhale, bring in the hands back on the blocks. Without walking your feet from the right hip crease, exhale, lengthen the right leg. Keep sharpening the heels. Notice the space that's created as you sharpen the heels, especially in and around the back of the pelvis, but also as the inner thighs rotate inwardly, there's like more space to move forward. Lengthen the spine, back of the neck. And then again, exhaling, bending the front leg. Bring in the blocks to the lowest height or the hands directly on the mat. Right hand on the back of the pelvis. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, turn the belly, ribcage, and chest. Lengthening the right arm up. Face off, chest soft. Inner smile. Notice any ignorant disliking, any ignorant liking. And inhale back to center. You can reach the height of the blocks. Without walking the back foot, we're going to bring the back heel, the left heel to the center of the mat. Heels are aligned in the same line. Right buttock moving into the groin. And lifting the arch of the foot and the back foot, sharpening the heels. Let me move in the other direction so you can see slightly better. Okay, So the heels are aligned, and you're really feeling that the arch of the foot is moving away from the mat. You also want to feel the inner thigh that's lifting, moving away from the mat, back, and then this internal rotation. So many times what happens here is that, okay, I'm going to show you as we come into the warrior one, and the warrior two pose, Virabhadrasana. So inhale, coming up. So many times what happens here is that I'm collapsing the inner thigh, and this is happening. Even sometimes the foot collapses completely, the inner thigh is collapsing completely. So it starts with the arch of the foot, moving back, and then the inner thigh moving up and back, and the internal rotation of the sharpening of the heels. Okay, great. Let's wake up the arms. Palms of the hands up, keeping the elbow creases up, just the palms of the hands down. Sharpen the heels, soften the face. Look at the longest of your fingers and your right hand. Face soft, chest soft, inner smile. And then with the inhaling, lengthening the front leg, moving into Trikonasana. But notice before you go into Trikonasana, sharpen the heels. Really feeling the right heel moving towards the right, the left heel moving towards the back of the mat. Getting contact with that action. See if you feel the space. And then with starting in the exhale, initiating the movement with the right hip crease. Exhale, right hip crease back. Lengthening the arm forward. Lengthen, 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 lengthen. Bringing the hand in the back of the hand and the inside of the shin bone to create that traction to open into Trikonasana. And ideally, you bring the hand behind the ankle, against the block, against the mat, on the ankle itself. Avoid pushing next to the knee down. You want to keep the top of the shin bone moving forward so there's no hyperextension in the knee. Face soft, chest soft. Inner smile. Sharpening the heels for one more breath. Feel the space. And then inhale, coming up. And you're going to rotate the right foot. So you're in a wide stance. You make sure the heels are aligned in the same line. Making sure the outsides of the feet are parallel to the outsides of the mat. The arches of the feet are lifting. And you feel the engagement of the thighs, but we come back to the sharpening of the heels and then the inner thighs rotating back. Lengthen the back of the pelvis. Great. Let's create length on the sides of the torso. Inhale. And the softness of the exhale, lengthening the arms up. Inhale. And then exhale, bringing the hands on the hips. Engaging the thighs. Inhale. And then sharpen the heels and exhale up and over the space in between the firm thighs. To Prasarita-Paduttanasana. Let's interlace the fingers over the back and project the arms forward and up. Keep sharpening the heels. See if you can keep the pelvis aligned with the ankles, toes soft, arches of the feet lifting. And especially focus on the sharpening of the heels. See if you can feel the inner thighs rotating back, creating space in the back of the pelvis. Changing the crossing of the fingers. Projecting the arms again. And then keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Inhaling into a long back parallel to the floor. I'll be moving back to the front of the mat. So that means we're moving back to the front of the mat, turning the right foot to the front of the mat, one hand on each side of the foot, turning the left foot, right foot back, Padakasana plank pose, engage the thighs, Inhale, lower the pelvis, open the chest. Whatever variation is best, keep the actions of the legs, inner thighs. And then exhaling, pushing the tops of the thighs back and up. Hip crease up, heels down. Come back to the sharpening of the heels. Strong thighs. Keeping the right thigh fully engaged. Exhale, lengthen the left leg towards the back wall. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, left foot in between the hands. Coming into the tips of the fingers or grabbing your blocks, getting more height, more stability. Coming back to the sharpening of the heels, holding the imaginary block. So I always like to think of having imaginary legs holding imaginary blocks. So there's phantom legs that are accompanying the other leg. So imagine another left leg that is creating that action with the block, and then I can sharpen the heel, hold the block. And same thing on the right side, holding the block, sharpen the heel. If this image helps you, use it. If it gets on the way, get rid of it. But try to get into this sensation of the sharpening of the heels, rotating of the inner thighs, and creating space in the back of the pelvis. Lengthen the spine. As you hold the imaginary block, see if you can become very stable. And then with the inhale coming up, settling the shoulders, opening the chest, bringing the pelvis forward. And in the softness of the out breath, lengthening the arms up. Face soft, just soft. Inner smile. Now lengthening ellipsiosaurus, the hip crease on the right side. Left hand on the left thigh. Inhale. And then exhale. Bringing the right arm up and over across towards the left. Feeling the right hip crease lengthen. Ellipsiosaurus on the right side lengthening. Inhale back to center. Inner smile, face soft, just soft. Notice any ignorant disliking and ignorant liking. And inhaling, hands on the blocks. Without walking our feet from the left hip crease, exhaling, lengthening the left leg. So the left hip crease is moving back, right hip crease moving forward. Again, sharpen the heels. Notice the space that's created. Notice if you feel more space. Notice if there's more space to move forward and lengthen, but also more space in the back of the pelvis and the back of the body. Be attentive. Chest continues to open, back of the neck continues to lengthen. And then exhaling, bending the left leg. And bringing the blocks down to the lowest height, or the hands directly on the mat. Left hand on the back of the pelvis. We're going to inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, turning the belly, ribcage, and chest, and lengthening the arm up. One more full breath, face soft, just soft. And then inhale, coming down, lifting the height of the blocks. Without walking the back foot, we're going to bring the right heel to the center of the mat. So again, notice that the heels are aligned. Arch of the foot is moving away from the floor. And the left buttock is moving into the groin. Great. So again, get in contact with the action of the inner thigh, moving away from the floor. Be attentive to any collapse. To the contrary, you really want to lift, extend, and then feel the rotation as you come back to the sharpening of the heels. Sharpen the heels. Inhale, coming up into Virabhadrasana 2, the Warrior 2 pose. Let's wake up the arms. Elbow creases up, just the palms of the hands down. Face soft, chest soft. Noticing any ignorant disliking, any ignorant liking. As you continue to sharpen the heels, create space and breathe. With the next exhale, lengthening the front leg. And notice here, as we move into Trikonasana, okay, I want you to really get in contact with your sensations. Let go of the sharpening of the heels. See if you can just let go of that action and feel what happens with your legs, back of the pelvis. And now, sharpen the heels. Sharpen the heels strongly. Left heel moving to the left, right heel moving towards the back of the mat. And notice what happens in that space, in the back of the pelvis, but also the space inside, in front, in and around, all around the pelvis. Be attentive to that. Keep the sharpening of the heels. Let's create length with the sides of the torso. Inhale. Exhale, the arms up. And bringing them parallel. Elbow creases stay up. Transitioning to Trikonasana. Initiating the movement from the left hip crease. Inhale. Exhale, left hip crease back. Lengthening the left arm forward. Lengthen, 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 lengthen. When you can, lengthen more, lengthen a little bit more. Great. Back of the hand and the inside of the shin bone to create the traction to come up. And then bring in the hand on the block behind the ankle or on the mat behind the ankle or on the ankle itself. Looking up, face soft, chest soft. Sharpen the heels. Notice that space. One more full breath. And inhaling. Coming up. Once again. Turning the left foot. Make sure the heels are aligned in the same line. Make sure the arches of the feet lift. Outsides of the feet parallel to the outsides of the mat. And then again, use that action to, as you keep the toes soft, sharpen the heels, lift the arches of the feet. Engage the thighs, lengthen the back of the pelvis. And again, sharpen the heels, feel the sensation of the thighs rolling in. Internal rotation of the thighs, feel the sensations in the back of the pelvis. Inhale. Let's create length and the softness of the exhale, lengthening the arms. Keeping the sides of the torso long. Bring the hands on the hips. Inhale, engage the thighs. Sharpen the heels. And exhale, up and over the firm thighs. Into a long back parallel to the floor. Lengthen the spine. Sharpen the heels. Bring the left hand and the space in between your hands onto the face. Inhale. And with the exhale, moving towards the right. Coming into a twist. With every inhale, lengthen the spine. With every exhale, going slightly deeper into a twist. Sharpen the heels, feel the space. Breathe. Inhale, back to center. Long back parallel to the floor. Bring the right hand in the space in between your hands onto the face. Inhale. And then exhale, opening towards the left. Lengthen the spine with every inhale. And then with the exhale, going deeper in the twist. As you sharpen the heels, notice the space. And then inhale back to center. Hands under the shoulders. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, bring the belly into the space in between your thighs. You can grab the backs of your thighs, calves, ankles, heels. Use the shoulders, use the traction to move the shoulders away from the ears and lengthen the spine away from the pelvis as you keep sharpening the heels slightly. Breathe into that space. Inhale,
long back, parallel to the floor. Moving back to the front of the mat, left foot pointing forward, one hand on each side of the foot, right foot pointing back, left foot back. Balangasana plank pose. You can go directly to the upward dog if you want to try Chaturanga Dandasana, bending the arms, and then lowering the pelvis, opening the chest. Whatever variation, keep the actions of the thighs, heels lengthening back, face soft, chest soft. Exhale, pushing the tops of the thighs back and up. Hip crease up, heels down. Get in contact with the sharpening of the heels. Face soft, chest soft. Inhale, bend your legs, look in between your hands. Walk or step into the sitting pose. And in the sitting pose, keeping the blocks handy, we're going to be moving towards laying on your back. So using the hands and elbows, and then bringing the head into the chest. Thighs slightly moving towards the navel for one full breath. And then allowing the feet to come down. Heels close to the buttocks so you can touch the heel with the longest of the fingers. And we're going to, again, carve a block to place it in between the thighs, or a big thick book, or that object that we have in between the thighs. So we're going to come back to feeling that holding of the block in between the thighs. And now that we changed the position of our body, we really want to feel that the thighs are still rotating in, but now the block is moving down and forward towards our feet. So the inner thighs. Same movement, but just our body moved in space. So the rotation is the same. So when we're coming up, you want to feel the outer thighs lifting and the inner thighs rolling down. Okay? As you sharpen the heels. Inhale, lengthen the arms. Exhale, bending the arms, elbows next to the ribs, open the chest, broaden the collarbones, lengthen the back of the pelvis to the heels. Inhale. And then with the exhale from the outer thighs, lifting the pelvis, sharpen the heels, feel the block moving down, inner thighs moving down. And then from here you can interlace your fingers, bring your arms, and use that to project the pelvis up. Or if you want to use more passive Setubandha Sarvangasana, you can use the support of the block. Anywhere you are, whatever variation, get in contact with the sharpening of the heels, creating that space in and around the pelvis for 3 full deep breaths. Great. So interlace your hands, your arms, if you need to lift the pelvis to move the block to the side, and then lengthen in the back of the pelvis, all the way down. Great. Coming into Suptapadakunasana, soles of the feet together, knees opening to the sides. You can support your thighs with the blocks. Otherwise, bring your heels as close to the perineum as you can so your knees are protected as they are bent. The more bent they are, the more protected they are. Especially if our thighs are floating in space, if the knees are floating in space, which is the case for most of us. Then from here, come back to your breath. Come back to the softness in and around the eyes, the pointing between the eyebrows, the corners of the mouth, inviting the tongue to settle to the floor of the mouth and release and soften. As the jaw softens and releases, allowing the pelvis to soften and release. So now I'm going to ask you a variation of Suptapadakunasana, which is slightly more active. So feel your heels pressing against each other. Keep that pressure of the heels, which makes the knees move away from each other. And then we're going to come back to the internal rotation of the thighs. The sharpening of the heels. So without losing the pressure of the heels moving towards each other, see if you can have that action of wanting to move the heels away from each other. Like you want to brace the heels away from each other without them losing contact. So that should feel like the inner thighs are rotating in. Feel the inner thighs, the inner femurs, the thigh bones rotating in. Again, heels stay together, but they want to move away from each other without moving. You're only bracing the action like you want to move, but you're not moving. And that should feel the thighs moving in internal rotation. This is the ideal thigh rotation for all the Padakunasana variations. So now see if you can keep the action, just enough of the action so you can soften and release for 2 full breaths. Observing any ignorant disliking, any ignorant liking. And then with the help of your hands, so just slowly, inhaling, bringing the thighs towards each other. Moving the box to the side. Now crossing the right leg over the left leg by releasing twist. Squaring the pelvis to the right, letting the legs fall to the left. You can support the thigh, the floating knee with a block if you wish to. And then opening to the side, looking at the right hand. Head turning in the opposite direction as the legs. In contact with any ignorant disliking, any ignorant liking. See if we can come more to a place of equanimity where we can shed some wisdom and allow higher emotions, higher thoughts to arise from the center channel. Bring in thoughts of kindness and compassion for this moment, for our practice, for our bodies, for everything that is. Inhale back to center. Cross the legs, square the pelvis. Change to crossing. Now squaring the pelvis to the left, letting the legs fall to the right. Again, we can support the floating knee. And lengthening in both directions. Come back to noticing any ignorant disliking and ignorant liking in whatever part of the experience. As you evoke higher frequency thoughts and emotions. And then inhale back to center. Square the pelvis, recross your legs. Bringing the knees to the chest. And rock slightly to the left and to the right. Massaging the back of the pelvis. We can do circles with our knees together in both directions. Preparing to move towards Shavasana or final relaxation. So allow your legs to lengthen, your arms to release, coming into the best variation of Shavasana for you today. Be attentive that the chin is naturally moving towards the chest. Actually, this entire skin of the face is moving naturally towards the chest. If that's not the case for you naturally, you will strongly benefit from using a folded blanket or a folded towel behind your head to support the back of the neck and the back of your head, creating the length on the back of the neck and creating this sensation where the chin moves slightly towards the chest and you can feel the entire skin of your body softening and releasing towards the chest. Releasing the arms to the sides. Make sure your body is symmetrically settled towards the floor, both left and right side, equally settling towards the floor. And then see if you can let go of all the actions in your body. Yes, that means including the imaginary block in between the thighs, including the sharpening of the heels, everything. Let go of all the actions in your body.
Let go of any holdings, any unnecessary tension. Come back to your breath. Come back to the softness in and around the eyes, pointing between the eyebrows, corners of the mouth, jaw, tongue. And then come back to observing any ignorant disliking, any ignorant liking taking place or arising. See if you can come to this place of equanimity, shed some wisdom to understand where things are really coming from. And then maybe invite the inner winds to come to the center channel. As you elevate your thoughts, having thoughts of kindness, goodness, and compassion for your practice, for your body, for this very moment, for everything that is. Find your stillness and allow deep relaxation to take place as you allow your entire body to be fully softly allow your breath to deepen. You can start activating your toes and your fingers. Take a deep inhale. With the exhale, lengthening in both directions. Lengthen, stretch. Exhale, release. Bend your legs. Roll to the right in a fetal pose. And then whenever you're ready, you can use your hands and arms to come back up. To finish your practice with the practice of sharing, you can use the support, if you wish, the sitting pose. So allow your hands to come together to the center of the chest. Let any goodness awakened by this practice be shared by all the beings in this universe. Inhale. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you for your practice.